Tonight, we are talking loud noises. The sounds the DIA makes will have the city of Denver forking over $33 million to neighboring Adams County. All those booms you've been hearing overnight might just be the beginning. Denver has an illegal fireworks problem, and the pandemic might be to blame. The political noise during commercial breaks is getting louder and louder. Thankfully, we have a marshal to tell you what's right and what's wrong. And many of you got loud yourselves, wondering what the heck happened to Kyle. He is fine. We'll explain why I'm here, and he'll be back next. So imagine if every time you threw a party and your neighbors complained about the loud noise that you had to fork over $500,000. That is what the city of Denver is facing right now, already dealing with a major economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The city now finds itself having to pay to settle a legal dispute with Adams County. So Adams County sued Denver over a breach of an agreement that they had with DIA back when DIA was built. Their agreement was that Adams would allow Denver to annex the land to build the airport as long as Denver promised to monitor and limit the noise coming from the airport. Well, Adams sued Denver because they weren't holding up that part of the deal, and a judge agreed and ruled that Denver has to pay $500,000 for each of the 67 noise violations reported between 2014 and 2016. It comes to a grand total of $33,500,000. So in case you were curious, we wondered for sure, you could be fined up to $999 if your neighbors complain on you playing that loud Lady Gaga jam, and the court ends up finding you guilty in the city of Denver. So I'm going to warn you, over the next 30 minutes, you may see something you do not like. And I'm not talking about me filling in for Kyle. There will be 9 political ads between now and 6:30. So many that Marshall and his little Bitmoji guy, they just can't keep up with the whole thing. But they are trying, analyzing a claim from a few different ads in this Truth Test-a-palooza.
National Republicans.
Not only are there nearly a dozen political ads leading up to next Tuesday's primary election, there are ads within ads.
The truth is, 95 of the 97 Republican allegations were dismissed.
This is spin. Yes, John Hickenlooper was the subject of multiple complaints from the conservative group Public Trust Institute. The group accused Hickenlooper, while governor, of violating the state's ethics law on receiving gifts above a certain dollar amount. In October 2018, the group presented the Independent Ethics Commission a list of trips to look into, dating back to 2011. But the commission refused to look at any trip older than 1 year prior to the complaint. So really, of 24 trips, the commission investigated 6, and in the end determined 2 violated the state's gift ban. Now to a new attack ad. A newly formed committee called Let's Turn Colorado Blue goes after Hickenlooper's opponent, Andrew Romanoff.
Andrew Romanoff stood with a Republican governor, passing the nation's harshest anti-immigrant laws.
This is fair, and it's a topic Romanoff has spoken about for more than a decade, even apologizing. While Speaker of the Colorado House in 2006, Romanoff supported a bill requiring local law enforcement to notify ICE if they suspected someone of being in the country illegally. During a special session called by then Republican Governor Bill Owens, Romanoff supported a bill that required the verification of someone's legal status before providing certain state and federal benefits. Romanoff has talked about these votes in the past while running for Congress in 2014 and Senate in 2010. Regarding his vote on local law enforcement notifying ICE, he wrote an article posted on Medium.com last September. Quote, "The measure proved dangerously broad and expensive. It produced unintended consequences I deeply regret." Now to one more ad.
As Governor John Hickenlooper.
There's also this ad paid for by Hickenlooper, which does a quick hit on multiple issues he's taking credit for while governor, with one claim that might be most relevant right now.
Body cameras and strict transparency for police.
Yes, this is true-ish, just not to the extent of police reform signed into law on Friday. In 2015, Hickenlooper signed a bill creating a grant program for law enforcement to buy body cameras. It also created a group to study best practices for body camera use. The 2015 law did not require the use of body cameras. The 2020 law does. Also in 2015, Hickenlooper signed a law creating transparency that does still exist today. When an officer is involved in a shooting and is not charged with a crime, the district attorney is required to issue a report explaining why. It's important to point out who is behind the ads. As you'll remember from last week, that attack ad paid for by Andrew Romanoff took a lot of flack from other Democrats, and now there's an attack ad against Andrew Romanoff. It's not paid for by John Hickenlooper, but this third party, Let's Turn Colorado Blue. I asked Hickenlooper's campaign, are you going to tell the other side, I know you can't coordinate with them, but are you going to make it known I don't like negative ads? His campaign told me it's a shame, and we're the only ones doing positive ads, but nothing that says, hey, perhaps don't do that on my behalf.
I think we all can agree that all of this is always a shame in politics. Marshall, this seems like a lot of advertising early on, right?
You would think that because it's just the Democratic primary that has the battle between two candidates, that would be where all you would get the ads from. But we're getting ads from Republican sides, from conservative sides, and now Democrats and liberals that are trying to influence which of the two candidates they want you to pick. So that's why we're seeing so many.
All right. Marshall Zellinger, many thanks. Appreciate it. So, President Trump does not trust mail-in ballots. Did you know that? He let the world know it again with a tweet this morning in all capital letters. He is saying that he's inferring that other countries might actually print out millions of ballots in an effort to rig the election. He says Americans voted during World War I and World War II in person without any issues, and claimed that they are using COVID-19 to cheat with mail-in ballots. It's unclear who they are. He finished by tweeting that if people can go out and protest, that they can also go out and vote in person. He says with millions of mail-in ballots being sent out, who knows where they are going and to whom. So Amber McReynolds, who runs the National Vote at Home Institute Coalition and the coalition, she says you simply just can't print out a fake ballot then mail it in. The scanners are a lot better than that. They catch that kind of stuff. They catch anything that might just be printed out on a sheet of paper.
When you get your ballot packet, it has very specific information that's directly related to you. And some jurisdictions like Denver even have a higher level of authenticity for each piece within your packet. So that printer knows that you got your instructions, your secrecy sleeve, your right ballot style, and then your return envelope all in that packet. And they collect that data when they audit the packets to go out. And then when all that comes back in, the barcode that's on the outside of the envelope, along with the intelligent mail barcode that the post office can read, is all specific to the voter. And there's very important information in there, ballot sequencing ID, all of that is specific to the voter. So one would have to interfere with that entire system at multiple points in the process to actually accomplish what the president tweeted about.
Fancy background there for Amber. McReynolds used to be the Denver elections director. She says she invited the president back in 2016 to come and tour the facility here in Denver when he was initially making some of these claims, but the campaign turned it down. She says that over 25% of Americans across the country vote by mail successfully that year or in a year, and that military members have been voting by mail going all the way back to the Civil War. So the number of hospitalizations from COVID-19 in Colorado continues to creep down. 149 Coloradans are currently hospitalized with that disease. 19 of them have been discharged or transferred in the last 24 hours. Colorado has seen a spike in the amount of tests processed each day over the last week or so. Yesterday, the state processed more than 6,000 tests. Tonight's next question comes from no less than 5,000 of you wanting to know why Kyle is going on furlough and for how long. Is it something he said? Did he push the wrong buttons? Did he have some sort of disagreement with the powers that be? So the short answer to that is no. Okay, and maybe not 5,000 of you wrote into us, but it sure did seem like it. A lot of us spent the weekend responding to you, myself and the bosses, just trying to get you the information in this case. So we should let you know that everyone in our newsroom, from directors to reporters to producers to people working our assignment desk and even anchors, have had to furlough during the last 3 months or so because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the financial strain that it's brought about. So our company decided, rather than starting to lay people off because of that, that they would ask us to take a week of furlough. Now, millions of people have lost their jobs throughout the course of this pandemic. We know that. So in a sense, we consider ourselves lucky. But we wanted you to know that literally it's a week before Kyle comes back. I have created in tribute to Kyle a little sheet that tells you when Kyle will be back. According to this tracker here, 7 days till Kyle. Denver's black community had a man inside of the KKK helping them stay safe during the height of the group's power in Denver. He's someone we think you should know. Denver was lit up like the 4th of July last night. To what do we and our dogs owe this pleasure of fireworks in June? We ask Denver Fire next. Have you noticed more fireworks booming around out there lately? You are on to something. So we got a ton of emails after our 10 o'clock show last night about this. A mysterious fireworks display near 29th and Delgany. Well, people thought that this was at Coors Field, but some of the videos show it was actually just a bunch of dudes in a gravel parking lot. Denver Fire tells us, surprise here, they didn't have a permit. And DPD tells us that they didn't actually get any calls of service in that area. But get this, DPD says calls for service involving fireworks over the last 7 days are up more than 10 times where they were during the same week last year. 69 reports in 2019, 750 in 2020, all in that same week. DPD got about 300 calls about fireworks yesterday. The thought is the pandemic has cooped up people so long, and most of the professional displays have been canceled, so people are just going rogue.
There's not a lot of options this year, but we know that it is safer for us to stay away from those illegal fireworks. And when we get through this terrible COVID crisis that we have going on now, then we can celebrate in a respectful and a very safe and efficient method.
Here's your annual reminder that those kinds of fireworks are illegal in Colorado. The only other agency that got back to us with a year-to-year comparison like DPD did was Lakewood PD. They say they're up about 10 calls year over year. Now, the National Fireworks Association told me today that sales of consumer fireworks are up enormously year over year.
Beautiful first Monday of summer. Sunshine and comfortable temperatures in the low 80s. DIA actually hit 84 this afternoon. Tracking some strong storms in southeastern Colorado. Severe thunderstorm watch box out until 11 o'clock. A couple of thunderstorms might still roll off the foothills into Denver. About a 20% chance we'll see a shower, and that'll be tonight and again tomorrow. Push to low cloud cover tonight, then we go mostly sunny tomorrow, and then foothill storms around lunchtime, moving into the metro area by about 4 o'clock. Storms are isolated tonight, then we clear out our low at 55, sunshine at 83 tomorrow, a late day storm possible. Back to the 90s we go for Wednesday and Thursday, a cooler day with a better chance of rain from storms Friday, and then your weekend forecast looks fabulous, back to 91 on Sunday.
In the early 1900s, the Ku Klux Klan was gaining power in Colorado.
One person in particular that had the inner strength and the fortitude was Dr. Joseph H.P. Westbrook.
How a black man worked to slow the group's influence in Denver from the inside. Next. The Ku Klux Klan got its start in Colorado in the 1920s, trying to gain some economic and political power in parts of our state. But a light-skinned black dentist named Dr. Joseph H.P. Westbrook, well, he wanted to try to do something about that, to try to keep his community safe. So he joined the Klan. Our Byron Reed sat down with the great-granddaughter of Dr. Westbrook's best friend to hear how he did it.
Part of working at a consignment shop is to know the history of the merchandise, but for sales manager Terry Gentry, it's her past she knows best.
It's my dad's grandfather. His name is Dr. Thomas Ernest McLean, the first black licensed dentist in Colorado.
Gentry's great-grandfather opened his 5 Points practice in 1908 and was best friends with Dr. Joseph H.P. Westbrook, a fellow black dentist who infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s.
There was a membership exceeding 50,000 in Colorado during the 1920s.
Westbrook was a light-skinned African-American who secretly joined the Klan to notify black Coloradans about the group's plans.
The object was to protect the community from things that were happening and from plans to continue extreme oppression.
Gentry says her great-grandfather was one of the few people who knew what Westbrook was doing.
And knew that it was a critical path for him to take to make sure that our community was protected.
She says Westbrook continued for about 8 years and was never discovered, but passed away early because it impacted his health.
It took a lot of energy, and it took a toll on him, and there was a lot of fear.
It was a mission that Westbrook and Gentry's great-grandfather felt was their responsibility.
I think they would continue to be hopeful, but they can still see the pain of their own suffering.
To help pave a way for black Coloradans 100 years later.
We hope that folks can finally see some of our experiences, understand that this is something we live with every day.
For Next, I'm Byron Reed.
The impact of your generosity and your feedback about my decor are next. The generosity of all of you just continues to blow us away. For the third week in a row, we asked you to help donate to a local nonprofit, and for a third week, you responded in a major way. You donated $43,000 to help the Center on Colfax. That money will go towards its SAGE program, a welcoming place for older people in the LGBTQ community. Your feedback tonight, Jay wrote in and said, glad you do not have a fake fireplace behind you. Jay, that's a fake plan. I don't know if that counts. And Chris wanted to know, what is that thing behind you right there? That thing right there. It's a blueprint of the first brewing equipment. Louis Pasteur's blueprint. It's a patent. It's kind of cool. Marshall, we'll see you next time.